Hey, welcome back here to the Blip Pod. I'm Joey,
And I'm Nolan.
and today we will be discussing the future of the DCEU and the release of the Snyder Cut on HBO Max. Let it out, let it out. You've been holding that in since the release of Justice League, haven't you?
I have been holding that in since the first trailer of Justice League.
Oh,
And the release of Justice League made it slightly worse, I think.
Oh.
I've been like a tea kettle
took
that's...
a breath away.
Dude, that's 3 years ago. 3 years ago. This movie came out We'll get into the specifics. I cannot believe that they are editing and re-releasing a movie 3 years after.
Well, the only reason why they are releasing it is because they were scared of Jason Momoa when he started bullying them online.
That's true. That's actually, you're honestly not wrong. When you have both Jason Momoa and Henry Cavill petitioning for something, it's like, well, I
say no.
I like my limbs where they are, so we might want to do this. Dude, I swear to God, Henry Cavill, I think there's like every day he gains 1% body mass, and just, you know, when he's like, I don't know, 60 years old, the guy's going to be like 7'10" and the size of a mini, like, you know, refrigerator truck.
It's the rowing.
I don't know, because I saw this video of him the other day. Total side note. He's like playing video games he's playing The Witcher online, and he's like, oh yeah, just playing my video games, being nerdy, which I love that about him. The guy is just a totally normal dude. It's not like one of those guys where it's like, obviously he's in the gym all the time, but he's not like, I'm better than you because I'm in the gym all the time. He's like, oh no, I like playing nerdy games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I swear to goodness, this guy, obviously when you watch it, you're like, oh, he's obviously very good at playing games. He knows what he's talking about. He likes all the nerdy stuff. But it looks like it's, you know, when there's people joke where it's like, oh, the fire truck is on fire. What an oxymoron. Like, the dude looks, it was just the weirdest image of this guy who's basically built
Superman.
Yeah, the dude is like a couple boulders that someone super glued together.
Oh, jeez.
C'est la vie, but
not super glue. You need that gorilla glue.
You're right. You're right. They gorilla glued all the things on, and then they super glued an S on his chest. Boom, boom. Oh, getting that Superman super glue puns. Thank you. I'm here all
Yeah,
day.
it's instead of just saying S, it says SG. Super glue.
It says that's when you know that the Warner Bros. Is run out of funding, when they have to rely on that much product placement to be like, truth, justice, and the American way. And the American way is to buy superglue, now available in your local Lowe's or Home Depot.
Well, enough of that,
Yeah,
and now
sorry.
I think we'll get into our topic right after this.
For all the listeners, we do some minor editing. We every week, you know what? I should auto tune all the clips I have together, sing some version of a song that we edit out and put the theme song over. So Joey Harris just gave us an amazing rendition of, I think, the first 3 Superman chords, but it also could have been a duck crying. We're not sure.
It evolved into a duck cry. It started somewhere and then ended somewhere else.
Dude, that's me during quarantine. I'm like sitting in a chair and I look up and I'm in a different chair and I'm like, wait, how? This morning, literally, I went for a walk and I went, there's chapstick on my lips. When did I put on chapstick? Dude, it's not like I kind of forgot. I still do not remember putting on chapstick today, which I don't usually do, and my lips are a little like chapstick tasty.
It's the atmosphere.
It probably is. Okay. So, we've got a couple big DC. We have actually, this month has been a surprising amount of DC news. Smaller DC news is Ruby Rose. She's
gone.
She's gone. I see why, because she's she was kind of making her name for herself in Hollywood. She was one of the kind of stars of the Meg. So I can see how a TV show is a little bit of a step down.
Well, and also apparently she said she just wasn't having fun.
Yeah,
and
that's
she
true.
didn't bring. She wasn't bringing the energy, and the crew felt the same way about her because it was like a mutual thing, like saying like they weren't having fun with her, she wasn't having fun doing it. So
Yeah, I think I haven't. I think I saw. I've seen a couple episodes of Batwoman. I like the character in the comics a considerable amount actually. She's had a really good run in the Detective Comics recently. I think that it to each their own, and obviously it was the split up was for both parties involved. It was. I sound like I'm talking about a divorce. Um, like for both the crew and the directors and her, it works out. But I feel like that's gotta something has to be seriously up for you to give up a CW superhero role, because I know they're not the best TV shows, but those things can run until the freaking sun burns out.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have.
I wouldn't say it's always good, but they
No.
produce content.
They produce. You're correct, and I'm a longtime Arrow fan, and there are some ups and downs. But
the middle seasons are just.
you can tell that they were kind of, they needed some ideas.
But they built the franchise when it's bad and you like kind of like don't want to watch it, but you still have to watch it because you just have to, like, especially with Flash right now too. I'm at that stage where I'm like, oh man, it's not really that good anymore, but I have to finish it. Like, I can't just stop not watching it.
You know what? This is kind of a side note. We'll get back to the actual DCU, but the DCEU TV, like the DC TVU, I guess. DC.
It might be with the DCEU now with Ezra
with
Miller
Ezra Miller
coming onto the show,
Regardless,
so we don't know.
The new question is, will Ezra Miller be in the DCEU? Do you see that that video where he choked out that poor lady?
Yeah, that was not a good. Apparently, he was tripping on some kind of drugs.
You gotta be. But regardless, I think the thing that works with the CW DC TV shows is they only ever need one of the shows to be good per season. Because the crossover has basically dictated that people will, if not watch, go back and rewatch the seasons
for the
crossovers.
Well, that's the most, like, they pull the most from the comic books in those crossover events, I feel like.
Yes.
It's the most fan, like, pleasing episodes.
Yeah, and they're good. I saw the crossover this year and I liked it. The crossover last year I generally liked. Even, like, some of the lesser crossovers. They're maybe not the best, but it's like, this is an enjoyable amount of character interaction where it feels like one of, like, the 70s, 80s comic books. Maybe not the newer ones, but, like, where they're like, oh, hey, chum, let's go help and stop this thing together. And you're like, oh, great. I sound like I'm from the 50s. Regardless.
Especially when Crisis bring back characters from the old show, like the old Superman from Smallville, the old Flash TV show, and they even put that clip of him in the show with whoever his girlfriend was in that show. I don't think it was Iris, was it?
I know who you're talking about. I think it... Are you talking about the John Wesley Snipes, his dad one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a different version.
That is Iris?
I think so.
I don't know, but it was they when he died, they pulled out a clip from that. So I thought that was really cool.
I think that's the one thing. I also very much enjoy the fact that they brought back Brandon Routh's Superman. I thought that was a very cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that the DC TV universe has that the DCEU doesn't is that fans they give it a little more of a break because it's television and because as long as one of the shows are good, you're still going to tune into the rest.
Yeah.
It's like, honestly, it's like the MCU. As long as you like a couple of the characters, you're going to watch all the movies because eventually they're going to come in crossover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The actual DCU stuff. This is what we got. Henry Cavill has signed on, is officially in talks, but is rumored to already sign on as Superman yet again. You know my opinions on this.
No, I don't. You should explain.
Oh, yeah. yes. Hello, sorry. My name is Nolan Carney. I've obviously never spoken to you because this is usually how I agree. This is...
What is this, the discussion posts on Chasing Rainbows?
my
Hi,
goodness.
Nolan. I really like your opinions on Superman. We should talk.
So, for a little context, obviously, me and Joey took a bunch of classes together last year, one of which was one of our teachers actually would Skype call in from LA, which was super cool and a great opportunity. But obviously, me and Joey spent a crap ton of time together and are great friends. And we decided that we would pretend not to know each other in the class because we had never met the guy before. So we had to do discussion posts, and Joey would post stuff like, "Wow, this is a fantastic idea. We should talk about that sometimes."
I really like your opinions.
I bet that guy was probably he's like, "That's the fastest friendship I've ever seen." Like, we sat down in his class, turned to each other and be like, "You want to be best friends?" And then just rolled with it. But regardless, okay. So as I introduce myself to everybody, I walk up and I say, "Hello, my name is Nolan Carney. I have a weird interest in 3 things, and it is Taika Waititi, Henry Cavill, and occasionally Jeff Goldblum." And
that's how he introduces himself to everybody.
Yeah, that
even
is.
if he's he goes to a restaurant, the waiter comes up. "Hi, I'm Nolan Carney."
I'm Nolan Dude, okay, I'm super excited. I love the Man of Steel movie. I think that Henry Cavill is a fantastic actor, and I think that they didn't give him the reason he is meh in the Justice League and sort of meh in Batman vs Superman is not because of him, but it's kind of that Hayden Christensen syndrome of the guy is just given what he's given what he's given.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing your best with something that's kind of meh, so you can't do anything about it. That being said, they are now redoing the Justice League to be the Snyder Cut release on HBO Max in 2021.
I wonder how much Superman content's in the Snyder Cut, because I know after they revive him, he goes to see Lois, and then you don't see him again until he just shows up out of nowhere at the end for the fight scene.
I think more than anything, if anything gets added in, it's going to be more Superman stuff and Cyborg stuff. I have a
because he used more time to introduce characters, right?
Yes, and specifically Cyborg, because he wanted Cyborg to be kind of like the guy who wasn't a superhero and now is, kind of like the in-look on kind of the audience perspective. And I think a lot of Cyborg and Superman stuff got cut for a variety of reasons that we won't get into. But I'm of 2 minds. Okay, I don't know how much you know about the Snyder Cut. The actual original Snyder idea never got shot. Like, his original pitch, they said, was a little too dark and not in line with Marvel. Unfortunately, it's not Marvel. They shouldn't base it on that. Because it was going to be a 3-movie arc where, you know how in Batman vs. Superman, the Flash shows up and he's like, "Lois Lane's the key, Bruce Wayne."
Yeah, mm-hmm.
He's like, "Whoa, I don't know what's going on." You know, whatever.
That's for Justice League.
That was going to be a setup. The first Justice League movie was initially set to start 10 years in the future after Darkseid has decimated the planet and taken control of Superman. Then, halfway through the first movie, they were going to have to send flashback, and then Justice League Parts 2 and 3 was them, right after Batman vs. Superman, assembling the Justice League, which gave every character at least 40 minutes of origin, because there's like 3 movies now. They slowly assemble it, and then defeat him in like movie 3 or 4.
Man, they really missed out on a huge opportunity with that. Especially because you had that Flash moment, and it really didn't pay off later on.
It doesn't make any sense now. But I think... So we're obviously never going to get that cut because they never shot any of that cut. But what the Snyder Cut is the kind of basic arc that they had for the newer ones, which was slightly more happy, where it was Steppenwolf comes in and then Darkseid eventually comes in. Zack Snyder had a lot of stuff written for that, but unfortunately due to the death of his daughter and some other circumstances, he obviously left the project, and then they reshot like something crazy. Like, I think like 60% of the movie is completely either new footage or re-edited footage with the old footage not used. So that's what we're getting. Whew.
Interesting.
That was a lot.
I'm excited to see it.
No matter if it's good or bad, it's something interesting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Especially we really don't have releases like this where basically a new cut of it can change the entire movie.
Also, not only the movie, but potentially, here's my theory. This is kind of the test for if the DCEU will work. My guess is they're going to roll this out, see the response to it, and if it does well enough, if it's critically viable, they'll pretend the 2017 one didn't happen, and then they'll just continue
go house to house erasing it from our brains. Knock on your door instead of knock on your door instead of Jehovah's Witness. Oh yeah, we're with Warner Bros. Can you put this helmet on really quick?
That's exactly.
We're not making you join a cult. Don't worry. We're just you won't even remember we're here.
Oh, they'll show you. Oh my goodness. That's exactly what they'll do is they'll send Henry Cavill and Jason Momoa to your front door. They'll bonk you on the head really hard, which will probably make you forget the last couple years, and then they'll do that. That'll be very funny.
They're gonna start with us because we're the ones that influence everyone with our opinions.
Oh yeah, that's the podcasters.
We're the first ones to go.
Everyone knows that there are self-destruct bombs in every single action figure. So my guess is that they'll blow all those up first, and then they'll knock all of us out, and then they'll just pretend like it didn't happen.
If all our DC content from Instagram and YouTube just suddenly erases,
yeah, it's Henry Cavill's fault.
You know why.
He beat us up. We didn't stand a chance. Yeah, that was a good one. No, give me a second. I gotta compose myself after that. No, yeah. My guess is that I don't know. What are they gonna do in the next? You're right though. Like, what would they even explain for like if they make? Let's say they make a hypothetically
Flashpoint.
That's true.
Flashpoint.
But again, a couple problems. Flashpoint is sort of like almost an Infinity War level event. You know what I mean?
But that was supposed to be their first Flash movie. It's supposed to be Flashpoint though, which I don't know why you would have his first movie be Flashpoint.
That's like starting. That's like Captain America's first movie being Civil War.
Civil War.
Yeah, that would make you'd walk in, you'd be like, why is every single other character here? Because Flashpoint has every single member of the Justice League in it. It's basically an alternate dimension Civil War. Oh, holy crap, no. Wait, no, DC just stole Civil... I'm thinking about the plot of Flashpoint. It's literally just Civil War. No, like, I'm not even lying. It's Aquaman versus Wonder Woman, and the world is ripped into chaos because of the two...
Well...
Oh my goodness.
I mean, Batman vs. Superman was basically almost Civil War because it came out the same year, and I remember it was Batman vs. Superman, and you got Iron Man vs. Cap. And it was basically those movies were competing against each other.
The movies both end with a villain who's not physically strong but mentally strong.
Yeah, getting them both fighting
by using their mother.
Oh my god!
But one is.
They got spies in the studios. They're doing this. Let's make it better.
I feel like though that's like one of those crazy accidents where. It's just in like, when they're like, oh, it's in the cultural zeitgeist. I feel like there's no way that they're both that similar without people going like, oh, whatever.
It's basically like me having these ideas and a couple months later you see it happen in a movie. You're like, well, what the hell? I was literally just talking about that and now it happened.
Dude, that happens. As if anyone's listened to our back podcast or just previous ideas, we say so much crap that's in a movie like 4 months later. And they can't have stolen it from you for a couple of reasons. One, we're not that important. And two, it was only like 4 months ago and they already finished filming. But then you're like, how? Like, I thought of that out of boredom.
Little do they know, they have a satellite that could go around the entire United States, and they tap into our brains and they see what ideas people have, and they put it together for movies.
That's, you know what? After I've told you I told you when I was 12 I wrote a Shazam movie. And then this is the crazy part. When I was like 12 or 14, it was when like they were doing all the Shazam stuff in the comic books. I wrote like kind of like a pseudo, not a full script, but like kind of mock up for a Shazam movie. This is when I was starting to first get into like kind of movie making and such. And I was like, it'll have a soundtrack, and it will have Carol of the Bells and Don't Stop Me Now by Queen, and it will take place at Christmas. Which in fairness, some of the comic books do. The movie has that same damn song and takes place at Christmas.
And it's Shazam.
A character that I don't own, and they have a total right to use more than I do. But stop peeping into 12... Okay, you're not going to finish that sentence.
Have you ever seen the show or movie Hot Tub Time Machine?
Yes, I have.
It's like they go back in time, then he stays back in time, and he invents Google.
Yeah, that's
That's what they did. They just went... in the future, we actually made those movies. But somebody has a time machine. They went back in time, and they made it before we had a chance to make them.
What if I'm getting so angry about all these people stealing our ideas, and it turns out that...
When they were...
It's just us with, like, rubber masks. And one day, a group of, like, 4 kids and some sort of weird talking animal are going to pull a mask off and be like, we would have gotten it away to you, too. Wasn't for you meddling kids. I don't know why my future time-traveling self is a Scooby-Doo villain, but c'est la vie. I'm excited about... No matter what, I'm excited about the Snyder Cut. I think the fact that they didn't greenlight this 2 years ago and have it with the release of HBO Max is the stupidest decision Warner Bros. Has made in a while.
It's because you didn't have the 2 steroid out
yeah, but I mean...
actors... Him.
Even then, Henry Cavill has been calling for the Snyder Cut since basically 2017. Like, even on the press tours, he was like...
He was too nice about it.
Honestly, that is true, actually. But I feel like the minute that movie flopped, and the minute that the Snyder Cut thing got a little bit of, kind of publicity, I feel like even if they didn't greenlight it right then, because it's still fan backlash, which, to be clear, if we've learned anything from Star Wars... They should not act on most fan backlash.
No.
Because usually it's just people on the internet being stupid. But this wasn't people complaining.
Trolls.
Bingo. This wasn't people complaining. This was people saying, we will pay money if you just re-edit this movie. Which I feel, from a business perspective, it's
Sonic.
Yeah. Actually, that's a very good point. And they did that, and that movie made a lot of money, and everyone likes it, and it's getting a sequel. I think, and of course, that's the world we live in. We have more Sonic sequels planned than we do Justice League movies. That's actually sad. But I feel like they could have done this, and then when HBO... Dude, if HBO Max was like, hey, we're releasing HBO Max. By the way, for the first 4 weeks, every single week, 30 minutes of the Snyder Cut will be released. It will be 4 hours long. It will have more Superman. It will have more Cyborg. Which, by the way, Ray Fisher, the guy who plays Cyborg, is a fantastic actor and just a great guy. I follow him on Instagram. That guy's just an amazing... It's very much like Henry Cavill, where it's like when you hear that guy talk, you're just like, oh yeah, this is Cyborg.
Yeah, nice guy.
He's just a really great guy who's a very good actor who, unfortunately, because Justice League flopped, you don't really see him in anything anymore. But,
yeah, I don't... Maybe it's just I don't know by name, it's just the CGI of his character.
Yes.
I don't recognize him from any other movie. I might have seen some with him, I just don't recognize him. But
I think the problem was first of all, he was an up-and-comer that wasn't in anything super big. Don't quote me on this, he's obviously... But the problem was, he was in a 3-year contract with DC, and he was gonna... because remember, in 2018... I think a
3 movie.
Yeah, it was supposed to be... I mean, we were supposed to get a Cyborg movie 2 months ago or some crap. And they obviously canceled all of it, and the poor guy was then in a contract that was nothing. But I think that it would have been smarter for them to re-release it at the beginning of HBO Max, because it's like The Mandalorian on Disney+. Everyone that signed up for Disney Plus the first week because Mando was on it, and then they stayed around. Whereas now people are signing up for HBO. There's nothing new, so they're going to leave it. And yeah, in a year they might rejoin it to see Justice League, but there's also a good chance that they'll just illegally pirate it or just, watch it with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But that's dumb. I don't know. Do you got any other thoughts on this particular matter?
I don't know. I just basically want every hero part of the Justice League to have their own solo movie, which they should have already done before the Justice League movie, but whatever. Just hopefully they just get it soon.
I hope, yeah. I think Cyborg is. I feel like Cyborg is a gimme movie because for two reasons. For people our age, the Teen Titans TV show was a huge deal.
Mm-hmm. Dude, the original one, not Teen Titans.
The original one.
The original one. Oh, that was my show. I used to watch it all the time. I loved it. It was a mature show too.
Dude, that season I haven't seen it in like obviously since it ended, but I just remember the season finale being a punch in the gut. But
honestly, I don't even remember what the season finale was.
There was like I think it was like what's her name, Terra, like forgets them, and then Beast Boy's like chasing afterward, and then it's like this weird thing where
oh wait, I know. Yep, yeah, I know it now.
And then it's like that weird thing of it's a comic book movie, but it's like people, you outgrow some people and they forget about you, and that's just life. And then it's like that's sad. Like that's really sad. Yeah. But I think that the Cyborg movie is a young actor who they can bank movies off of because he's not going anywhere. He's also mostly CGI, so even when he gets older, it's not going to really matter. Everybody likes Cyborg. Everybody likes the Teen Titans, which you could then eventually do spin-offs for.
Yeah.
Or like, I feel like that's just a gimme movie.
Warner Brothers, I hope you're listening.
I think they also had they changed up during the course of the DCEU's creation. It wasn't like the Marvel where they had Kevin Feige create everything. So even if stuff kind of went off course, there was one visionary behind everything. The Warner Brothers switched out people like every 2 months.
That was also a problem with the sequels for Star Wars.
Oh, bingo. That was exactly the problem with the sequels for Star Wars. Which I feel like
everybody needs a Kevin Feige.
That's it. Disney has a couple $1 billion. They can just clone the guy. I don't know what the problem is.
Sell him.
They could, honestly. I'm not a conspiracy nut, and this is a joke. But you're telling me that Disney does not have enough funds where if cloning existed, Disney would be the first people that.
It does. You haven't seen Star Wars.
That is true.
It exists.
That's right.
Why do you think Star Wars is owned by Disney?
That's like, when they were saying that there's no CGI used in the prequels? That makes sense. They just cloned Tamara Morrison just billions of times. They actually have an actual clone army just in the basement in case anything happens. Those 501st parades where all the stormtroopers go out in the armor and they're like, hey yo, hey yo. Mm-hmm. Or like Rise of the Resistance when all the stormtroopers are there. They're actually all the exact same guy, just cloned.
Never take off their helmets.
Exactly. They only have they have 4 people that take off their helmets and they're hired staff. But I think I like Shazam. I like the first Wonder Woman. I'm excited for the second Wonder Woman. I'm excited for the Batman. I'm excited. I'm basically excited for the entire DCEU.
Batman. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was our last bit of Batman. Just officially got the okay today to start filming in UK again.
Awesome.
And Paul Dano.
Bunch of stuff starting production again.
Yes, and the guy who plays the Riddler says it's looking, if they're able to move forward and meet their time schedule and get everything in, it's looking very good, but also surprisingly different. So I'm like, okay, that's something I'll look forward to.
Yeah, and also, this is not about the movie, but it reminded me of it from Batman. I was on TikTok yesterday, and we have all the protests going on now, yes. And some places are having these riots yes. and looting and stuff. There was a dude that showed up to one of the protests dressed as Batman, and there was smoke bombs going on, so it was very foggy and people were going crazy nuts. It literally looked like the scene from
The Dark Knight, yeah.
The Dark Knight Rises, when the final fight scene against Bane. It literally looked like a scene from that movie. I literally lost my shit when I saw that video. I'm like, no freaking way. First off, I don't even know who does that. But
that is... I don't even know, dude. That's obviously the world is in shambles and there's just so many problems. But it's almost encouraging to know that I don't know. It's just very nice that someone would show up and be like, "Oh, I'm the goddamn."
Seemed like It seemed like people enjoyed it though, so.
I did. I think I saw the video, and he was with the protesters, and people were freaking out. And obviously, it kind of brings attention to stuff like that. Oh, we're not gonna get into talking about the protest riots, but like seeing a video, people are more likely to look at a video of a guy dressed as Batman than they are to look at like, oh, some news related site. So, and then it in turn, informs people into that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That being said, let's wrap up this episode. Cabinets. I'm excited for basically everything that the DC has to offer. There are unlimited possibilities right now, and I feel like they can only go up.
Or stay. That's also true. Which, I like Shazam enough where if they continue with... Honestly, if the only... They're definitely on an incline slope.
They're on an incline slope, and I think even if Shazam is the only thing to come out of this, and maybe some more Wonder Woman movies, and maybe a couple Aquaman sequels, there's still...
I want to see Flash. Like, he's my third favorite all-time superhero in both Marvel and DC, so I just want to see some good Flash content.
I'm interested to see what they'll do with Ezra Miller, just after that whole deal, and it's like, ooh. Kind of controversial. That's a little too controversial. More controversial they can afford right now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They can't put a franchise on a guy that might get canceled in a few years. But
we'll see where it goes.
We shall see. Side note: the fact that what are we at? Like so many people in the new Harry Potter movies, the Fantastic Beasts movies, like 80% of them have like a controversy surrounding them, and I'm like. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love Harry Potter with a burning passion, but oh boy. Ironically, also Warner Brothers. They really got the shit end of the stick on this one, didn't they?
Yeah. They can't win.
No, those poor... There's every day some poor... I'm getting a phone call from Indiana. Very strange. It is... That's actually Leslie Knope from Parks and Recreation. Without further ado, this has been another episode of the Blip Pod. Go check us out on Blip.
This has been the Blip.
This has been a blip on your radar today. That makes it sound so insignificant. I'm just realizing, saying it out loud, it's like, oh, we're a little blip. We're just a small blip in the big universe, doing our part, blipping away. Check us out on the Blip Pod on every social media related activity, specifically Instagram, where Mr. Joey Harris, renowned actor and connoisseur, maintains actually a very good kind of news feed where you can get a bunch of news updates. Joey also has a TikTok, Joey Harris
2168.
Joey Harris 2168, which is getting a crap ton of followers recently, which you can go check out why on TikTok. And you got good content every day at 3 o'clock that is usually Star Wars, Marvel related, and is very funny. So go give that a check out. And then check us out on YouTube at The Blip Pod for long form conversations or The Blip Bros for shorter videos. Mm-hmm. Am I forgetting anything else?
Just remember to stay nerdy.
Yep. That's going to be... We're trying to make that a new catchphrase. It's going to be stay nerdy, and then in tiny little parentheses at the bottom, and positive. So
nerdy and positive, gotta love it.
You gotta...
I'm positively nerdy.
I'm positively nerdy. Also, just be happy. Like, I do think it's funny when people are like, oh, I don't want people to know that you're nerdy. It's like, you don't want people to know that you actually like something enough where you can be nerdy and excited about it, and that makes your life slightly better. Okay.
It's cool to be a nerd now.
It is.
It's in.
You be a nerd. Okay, without further ado, that caps up another episode of The Blip Pod. Check us out on all the things I just mentioned. We're going to have another episode coming up soon, which is going to be the future of the MCU, and then check back on our last couple episodes, which have been a couple Star Wars related ones, and then a news one for this week. So, stay nerdy and positive.